Welcome to the Next Chapter Experience podcast with Janette. Thought leaders explore the mindset, wellness, and wealth needed to realize next level transformation. Let's get started. I wanted to ask you, you talked about ways to snap out of autopilot, 3 questions to wake you up so that you can start paying attention. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Oh, sure. Yeah, because autopilot, it's a real syndrome. We really fall into it because we do engage in routines. So the way I think of this, the first thing, if you find yourself in any kind of a zombie zone, first thing is to diagnose the dead zones, which is all the domains and facets of your life. Some are pretty darn okay, right? You may be like, my social life is hopping. That's great. But you may know that your R&R, like your hobbies and your fun, maybe that's a little flatlined. And then that's where, okay, I have to diagnose and stop and say, that's the spot that's dead. If I could rekindle some of those hobbies, or maybe join a class or take that sketching course or re-engage and find a way to have more fun again in that way. So diagnosing where your life has flatlined, and it could be just to quickly refresh the parts of life. It could be your work life, which is super common for that to be dead. It could be your health. It could be your social life. It could be your love life. It could be your spirituality. It could be growth. Like maybe you're feeling like you haven't really learned anything new or exciting lately. It could be what we just talked about around recreation, and the list can go on, different people in different ways. So diagnose where things are feeling not so lively. Number 2, shake things up. So being an autopilot is traditionally brought on when we engage in habits and routines that just put us into just this repeat zone. There can be benefits, of course, to being in a habit. It can really help us, especially if you're establishing a habit, for example, of I want to go to Zumba class every Thursday night and I need to get into this habit. Then you make a routine and you do it. And then once you have the routine down, though, then we need to shake things up because human beings thrive off of novelty. And when we don't have novelty, we do tend to get into this sort of ho-hum existence. And we need to take any kind of routine you have, whether it's your morning routine of getting ready, shake it up. Right? What if you woke up 2 hours early and you got up and you meditated for 20 minutes, try not falling asleep, and you read, or you went out for a walk, or you called a friend in a time zone that was conducive? You don't have to shake it up all the time. And guys, we have to have some level of, you talked about peace and a sense of calm in our lives. We need homeostasis, but we need to sprinkle in a little bit of spice every now and then. And so let's do that. And then my last recommendation for autopilot is to count your Mondays left. And I know we're not going to force you to do it. I will not be that person. But for most of us, even if we have an inkling, we let things ride when we have a little bit of a false sense of security that there's runway to ride on.
Oh, runway. See, I just talked about runway with my girlfriend, Jackie, because we have parents who are of a certain age. And we acknowledge that, my words exactly, that there is not as much of a runway ahead of them. But then we also reflect on where we are. Yeah. And that might be the reason why we actually have a different perspective, because we know that the runway isn't as long as it used to be.
Well, you're hitting on part of theories they've come up with in the psychology science, which is that our priorities, of course, they change as we age. So when we're younger, we really are interested in novelty more so than what I'm recommending. But as we age, we naturally start to want to get a little more of a connection, like meaningful social time, like what you're describing, wanting to spend time with those friends that live far and wide, and finding that sense of meaning out of what we're doing, because there's just a different kind of poignancy as we age. And we start to see that the runway, the horizon on the runway is all of a sudden it's within sight. Now we know we need to put on the right glasses to see it, but we can see it. Whereas obviously when we're younger, it's like, I'm going to live forever. So back to the autopilot zone. If we continue to regularly contemplate the inevitable and talk about it with people, be aware of it, do the countdown, get clear on, hey, I said that these 7 things would be really neat in my life if I did get to do before I did move on, then I may not have the luxury of time. And so I might as well get on with the luxury of experience.
Yeah.